Alright guys, so today I'm going to talk about something that I think is kind of important. So say you get a job from a customer or get offered the job, but you don't really want it. It's out of your scope of work, or you just know you'll be getting into a mess. How do you tell the customer no? Stay tuned to find out. Okay, so it's happened to all of us. And if it hasn't and you're new, it will happen to you. It'll probably happen to you a lot. We get calls all the time, especially with trees. They're like, we'll ask them all kinds of qualifying questions. It's something that you need to do, whether you're in trees, lawn care, landscaping. You need to come up with some qualifying questions to, see if whether you need to actually get in your vehicle and drive to their location and look at it. Or if it's going to be a waste of time just to say, hey, no, you know. Okay, so usually with our trees, we really, really do the qualifying questions, because we drop them, we trim them, but we don't have bucket trucks, and we don't mess with trees. If they're like, you got 100-foot tree and it's leaning directly over the house, like here's the house, here's the tree, don't we're not the right people, and I tell them that a lot of times on the phone. And still, you'll have a customer that will lie or exaggerate the truth from you. And so you'll show up. You'll get in your car, you'll drive, or your truck, and you'll drive out there to the customer. You'll meet the customer. And before you even get in the driveway, you look at it and you just go, oh my Lord, that's not happening. There's no way I'm doing this. Absolutely no. Right? How many of you been there? Because I have. So how do you let the customer down? How do you tell them no? Right? Well, it's a lot easier to do on the phone, right? You just call them, say, hey, that's outside of our work zone. It's 40 minutes away. You're a little too far. Okay? When you're in person and you pull up and you're face to face and they show you the property or whatever and you're looking at it, you're looking at the job, and you're just like, wow. Yeah, I'm gonna either lose money on this or this is just not gonna work out. So how do you tell them no? What do you say? So I'm gonna give you some examples that I've used because I actually have to do this quite often. Okay, so let's say you got a lawn, you get offered to mow a lawn. You ask them what kind of yard size is it? Is it flat? Are there hills? Is a lot to weed eat? You ask them these things, and let's say they just say, "Oh, it's perfect," right? It's perfect, and so you think it's perfect. So then you get in your vehicle and you drive out there. Okay, so say you get there, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa. It's pretty decent. Yeah, it's about that size that you want. It's flat in areas, but then you've got this bank that's like 100 feet long, and there's no way your mower's going up it. It's so steep, so you'd have to weed eat that. And you know that that's going to go from a 20-minute mowing job to probably an hour. And then you're like, is that worth my time? It's outside of your normal routes. So what do now you have to tell the customer no. You're there. The customer's there. The customer is looking at you and you're observing this property with the customer. How you tell the customer no? Here's one thing that you can say that I've said. All right. Number one, you can look at the customer and say, because I'm from the South, all right? I don't know about everywhere else, but if you're in the South, almost always after a customer has showed you something, they go, so what do you think? So when they say, what do you think? I say, well, we'll just say John Doe, all right? Well, Mr. Doe, I like the yard, I do. I just don't think that I'm set up for this. If it's a small yard, real small yard, or you look at it and you just go, we have really big mowers, and we don't think that it's going to provide the quality of cut to be our expectations and yours due to the size of the mower in the yard. Or you tell them about the bank. Just be like, we're not set up with the right equipment to handle that bank, or I don't have that extra, or you're too far out in the service range. We thought you'd be in it, but you're just a little far out, or something like that. That's usually what I say for the yard, and I try and tell the customers this before I show up. Sometimes I'll even show up and I'll call them. Like, I'll show up, view, and be like, oh hell no, I'll turn around, but I'll get out the phone and then call them. That way I don't have to get the customer out and waste 15 minutes of their time as they explain to me every little thing in their life, and then you have to let them down that way. That's a waste of my time, their time. So that's some ways you can tell them. Say you get offered to do this huge design project, right? Something that you really want to do, but you're not sure about. You don't think you have the knowledge or skills to do it yet. Like, say you're just getting started. You get a call, and it's going to be a big money job. Say it's a patio, all right? But they want a patio built, all right? So you know that you've got to dig that out. You've got to level it. You've got to set your patio. You're gonna have to cut some pavers, all right, and they also want to add a fireplace to it, and some lighting. And this is stuff you're just not comfortable doing. So how do you tell them? You're there and you've looked at it now. You just be honest with them. All right, be honest with them. Don't tell them that you can do it and you'll get them a quote and then you never do, because they'll remember that, and then they'll probably never call you again because they're like, this guy, he never showed, or he never gave me a quote, so he must just not be interested. Their trust level of you just dropped, right? It just plummeted. So you be honest with them. Just tell them, be like, I don't have the necessary experience for this job. I'd like to know this job. I like to work on it, but I just don't feel like I have all the right experience. And just be honest with them. And I guarantee you that they will be happier with you telling them that than to just lie to them and be like, oh yeah, I'll give you a quote. I'll give it to you by 4 o'clock. Then you never do it. Okay? They may actually call you back if you're honest with them and tell them, hey, I just don't have the experience for this job. Because that right there, you're putting trust in them, right? It may not seem like it, but you are, because you're being honest. And whatever line of work you do nowadays, honesty is a rare trait. It just is. So when a customer sees honesty, they love it. All right? They may not holler back at you for 6 months to a year, but chances are you're going to be remembered just because you're honest. So don't just throw that under the bus and try and, pretend you're a big shot and you can do it all, and then just cold turkey don't call them. Be honest. It's, I don't, I was a shy guy, right? I didn't like talk to the customer necessarily at first all that much, but that's something you gotta outgrow. You gotta do it. You gotta learn about it. Because customers, they'll talk your ears off, and even if they call you and they're an hour away out of your service zone, they'll still try and keep you on the phone and talk and talk and talk. So, sometimes you'll just have to cut them short, and I'm not trying to be rude, but that's a little far out of our service range. Because I get offered all the time, hey, will you mow my yard? And they're like 3 counties above me, and you're just like, holy, it's an hour and 40-minute drive time by the time you punch it in on Google. That's something too. All right, before you even do the job, you've got technology available to you. Pull up Google Earth, Google Maps, map it out from your location to there. See how long it's actually going to take you. Sometimes you can, not all the times, but sometimes with Google Earth, I live in a rural area, so It don't always pick up on Google Earth like a street view image, but a lot of places it will. So especially commercial properties, it'll pick up on the street view. You can get a scope of the property without even leaving your house or your office or whatever. So then that will give you a better idea of what kind of area, yard, kind of work you're about to be getting yourself into. Um, to help you judge whether it's worth it or not. Because I've had, you can't always tell. Because I have some customers. They'll be like, "Hey, did you mow my yard? Well, when was the last time it was mowed, sir? Oh, it was mowed like 2 weeks ago." You're like, okay. And you run out there and, you need a machete and to chop through a jungle. It's like you're an explorer, Indiana Jones in it. And it makes you want to scream. So, some just you gotta say no. It's something that you can't avoid. You have to say no to the customer eventually. Don't just forget about them. You've got to say no. And it gets easier the more you do it. Whether you tell them, but let them down nicely, right? You don't want to just be like, "Oh, heck no, I ain't doing that. Forget it." Don't do that. Be nice about it, because they'll remember it, and there's a chance they'll still call you back for something else. That's all I got today, guys. Hope that little bit of video information helped you. That's just what I do. That's what I've heard of other people doing as well, and it's just seemed to work over the years. So hopefully, if you're new, or you're shy and you like me and you just a little wishy-washy on talking to the customer, telling them no anyways, maybe that'll help you. But until next time, guys, peace.